Hey team, how we going? It is Kaz from In the Trenches with Kaz. Today we're drinking Coke, not on the Coke. I don't know what the big fuss is. It smells like aluminium to me. Guys and gals, we're here today to let you know
hey team, how we going?
that we have two members
from the
of
Trenches with
Patreon
Kaz
right
today
now who are in
we're drinking
a
Coke,
hotel
not on the
who are
Coke.
waiting to go to
I don't know
Kapooka
what
and
the big
start
fuss
their
is.
life. It smells like
Manana.
aluminium to me.
Tomorrow. They're
Guys
going to
and
get on the
gals,
bus, the
we're
wheels
here
go
today
round and
to
round.
let you know
They're going to have their last coffee, they're going to have their last conversation as proof of life when they get to Kapooka.
Hotel,
And I'm here to let you know,
to go to Kapooka
if you're going to go into the military or whether you've been in the military, this might be a confirmation for you.
wheels go round
10
and round.
ways.
You know,
They're going to have their last
10,
coffee,
not
they're going to have their last
5
conversation
conversations
as
right
proof of
now.
life when they get to Kapooka.
Hotel,
And I'm here to let you know that your life, if you're going to go into the military or whether you've been in the military, this might be a confirmation. And this is 10 ways, maybe a bit of inspiration for some people. Maybe this is something they're sitting down with someone who they're going on an adventure with. Okay, if you're significant other, or whether you've been in the military, and this in itself, we go for about an hour. Maybe I don't like necessarily going for an hour, something they're sitting down. There's also the freedom of speech column. You get to speak. Or if you're significant other, costs you nothing. And if you need more, or if you decide to support the channel, become a member. It says membership there. If you need one-on-one conversation because you're about to go into the military, get like two of the guys, Nick from Northern Territory, and we've got lovely Phil with his partner Netta, and they're going into tomorrow. Membership hotel right now. If you need one-on-one conversation provided you're about to go into the military, get like two of the guys, receive what we've got here from Northern Territory, and we've got lovely Phil. Your comments for a second before we get into the 10, and then we also got some bad news from Ops. If you need one conversation that's provided what's going on here, two of the guys receive what we've got here from Northern Territory, and we've got lovely your. That should be better now. I apologise, team. I apologise for that. I'm getting double echo. Is anyone else stuck in a loop? That should be better now. Just give us a thumbs up if that's good. Your sound is echoing really bad. How's that, team? Is that better? Let us know. Better now. Okay, excellent. Thanks, Geordie. Now, if this is Rockhampton, Geordie, you've got some bad news today, mate. I really, I don't understand how recruiting's working in Australia today, where we'll refuse someone for having a hand tattoo, for having a neck tattoo, for having a coloured past, you know, but at the same time we'll let someone in for having two identities, calling themselves gender pronouns. That doesn't make sense to me at all. G'day, Expert Ninja. There he is. G'day, Staggered. Geordie, yeah, it is, mate. Can we get some thumbs up there for Geordie at the moment? You got some bad news today, but don't worry, we're going to get into the trenches. We're going to try and do everything to fix that up. We've got Hollywood there who had a massive weekend with the ladies. You know, if you can't get them in the bed, at least have a debate, I always say. What else we got? Mr. Buckaroony is the first one here. 24 Platoon just marched out recently. Great to see a young Sudanese lad in there. Sudanese, they've skipped leg day for life. So has Kaz. I was born that way. What do I say? He was off to the School of Infantry. That's great to hear. You know, really good to hear. You know, we don't care what colour you are. We don't care what your background is, as long as you bleed the red, red, white, and blue. And we mean Australia. You want to make Australia great again and live a life full of mateship and brotherhood. There you go. Mr. Buckaroony says, guys, if you have tattoos in place to stop and you're getting in, go and get them removed for fuck's sake. Yeah, you can always get them back in again, can't you? Yeah. Is the echo back again? G'day, everyone, says the Expert Ninja. We've got Nathan there, says, g'day, Kaz, enlisting on April the 13th. Better than Friday, the 1st of April. That'd be a April Fool's Day. Into artillery from Adelaide. Mate, we've got two guys that we're talking to right now that are getting on the bus for Kapooka, and they're going for artillery as well. They signed on oath of affirmation today. And they're great guys. They've been talking to them forever. Nose to wall, don't get in a bust up at a pub. The military won't forgive that 8 years later. Yeah.
that's basically what happened. Geordie got pulled into a skirmish 8 years ago, and it wasn't even him starting it. He went in there to save a mate, his ass, the battle buddy, and it didn't turn out well for him. And now we've got to do what we can to sort that out. Hey guys, how's everyone? Noah, it's great conversation today, mate. We went off on a tangent, didn't we? We did. And again, anyone that wants to have these conversations, you're an absolute dick if you don't come on to Patreon and have the conversation. 4-time instructor, you know, I know everything that you need to know. And that's why I do this now. Hi, Kaz. 24th is my enlistment day. I'm so excited. Blair Witch Project. 24th of what, mate? Of March or of April, which would make it Kapooka Day. We've got Chock Ding Dong. Evening, Kaz. Finally caught a live one. That's what she said. That is what she said. Guys and gals, we're going to go through these 10 things that are going to change your life. Before we do that, we're going to crack a Coke. That's how you get rid of the bubbles. Watch that. Okay, it's the first time you've seen it. All you got to do, give it a bit of a tap, get rid of the bubbles, and oops. There you go, you saw it on life. I've got a Coke problem now. Nothing better than that, Cass. March. You'll be marching soon, mate, in bloody pyjamas. What platoon do we predict this platoon is going to start tomorrow is? I reckon 13 platoon. That happened to a bloke I know who just kept trying to get some references. Where's Geordie? There you go. Did he end up getting in expert ninja? Nathan Jones, have you had anything to do with defence rugby at all? I fucking hate defence rugby. Hate it. Would love to get involved with it. The reason why I don't like it, Nathan, is because every time someone is going to play sport, which they weren't good enough to play for money in the street, you know, now they're playing it. Now other people are carrying their equipment while they're out having a good time, having drinks, and also calling the boss by his first name, getting preferential treatment while I carry his link on his machine gun. I'm not a fan. Hey, Stage, how you going? Keep up the great work. Mate, what have I done to deserve this? We've got a menstrual cow from Stagey. Really appreciate that, mate. I always feel weird when I get a good financial donation, because although the channel is expensive to maintain, it feels weird receiving. I appreciate it very much, mate. That's a cow. And let's throw one out there to you, mate. Let's give you a welcome from South Australia. This is what a single mum looks like, or what happens to a man when he admits he's got a job on a dating site down in Adelaide, and Hollywood would know about this. This is the hug of the single mums. It's a Kraken! Feed him a mother-in-law. That should make him happy. Welcome, calamari. Stagey, all over you. We've got Simon Powell there too, the filthy Raffy. He's got the Patreon link there if you decide you want to come on for one-on-one counselling for the price of coffee a month. If you do come on to the Black Legion, don't join as a free member. You know, if it's worth us having an hour's conversation together, you know, at least once a month, then it's worth you a cup of coffee, I reckon. Simon Powell, you love defence rugby. Yeah, but you didn't go outfield carrying machine guns and shit, mate. You know. SSC finally cleared only 6 months later, re-enlisting, but still got to go through the whole process. Well, I wish you luck, mate. I really do wish you luck. And these days there is an element of luck because it doesn't always make sense. Don't look at this one. Where is he? Is Geordie up there? Don't look at this one, mate. Kaz got my letter of offer today. I'm looking at my 11th of May appointment. Legal Eagles, what are you going in as, mate? Congratulations. I bet that's going to change the way you sleep tonight. Simon Powell, I was the assist team manager for Airforce national team, 2001 and 2. Shows you how quick time's going, man, eh? That cracker will get you. Get stuck with a sock. Get stuck with a sock. I'm not sure about that one. I carried an MG, qualified on the Mag 58. All right. I don't think a Raffy's ever carried 1,000 rounds, mate, or 800. But we appreciate you, and I'd love to see you getting into an F-35 cockpit at the moment there, Simon Powell. Simon, take your keyboard off, yank spelling. There we go. Legal officer, there we go. Battalion doesn't do much to develop the boys. Look, in what, Nathaniel, in what are you saying there? In what way? Because every single section, every single platoon, every single rifle company, you know, they are a standalone franchise. There is some rifle companies that absolutely do more than others, right? And there's some that support and build more than others as well. Yep. Hey, Expert Ninja, we see there that you threw a donation in before too. Mate, it didn't pop up on this other one, so I'm sorry about that. Appreciate you, mate. Where are we? I've got screens popping out everywhere here. Well, there he is. Battalion doesn't do too much to develop the boys. There we are. G'day, Kaz. Kirsten, how you going? It's been a while, mate. I hope life is going well for you, my friend. You know, at the moment, I've got stuck with the palsy. Every day, I don't know what it is, I am as tired as Albanese's excuses for his losses. Guys, we're going to talk about the 10 things now. Mr. Buckaroony, Simon Powell, it'll be very interesting to see how you go with this. And Nathaniel, let's go. So the very first one, if you're out there, Phil, if you're out there, Nick, you know, and you're watching now, anyone that's going to Kapooka that doesn't understand how is this about to affect the rest of their life, here we go. The first one, the military is a different life. It is a 24-hour-a-day immersion, 365 days a year. What do I mean by that is everything in your life, your home time, your work time, your gym, your medical, your mateship, you know, your daily routine, everything is included in the military, and at any stage they can go, that's it, whatever your plans are, including a marriage, is off. We are deciding this is where you're going to be at this time, be there, or consequences will come in. Consider that the military, and in the best possible way, g'day Petrus, how you going, mate? Hey Dave, the army is a dictatorship. That's exactly what it is. There is a hierarchy, and they don't have to be right to be able to tell you what to do. You know, we are governed by a second law system that 24 hours a day can make you do things that the civilian government cannot make you do. Maybe your wife can, that's a dictatorship as well. So be aware that your life is now going to be a 24-hour immersion, right? Even when you're off duty, you know, you can be called up, you can be told to come in. The fact that if you're in uniform and you're Mr. Buckaroony or Simon Powell and you're in uniform in town and something occurs, there's no walking past that like a civilian. You can't do that. You need to step in, get involved and fix that goddamn problem. It's now yours. The other one is you're not allowed to walk and smoke in uniform, okay? Or on barracks for that matter. You have to get around smartly wherever you go. You're not allowed to have your hands and limp wrists swinging, you know, like an LGBT parade. You know, you have to walk around with a sense of purpose. 75 centimetre pace. You know, there has to be a reason why you're folding your arms. You're never, for the women, allowed to roll your eyes. That is a chargeable offence for insubordination to a higher rank. You're not allowed to eat while you walk. You know, you're not allowed to put your hands in your pockets. Why are they there? Good point. Total immersion. So just some things you need to know. When in doubt, you know, if someone asks what someone's name is, the Chief of the Army, Chief of the Defence Force, you know, Battalion Commander, all you got to do is say, sir. If they go, but what's their name? Go, it doesn't matter. I'm only allowed to call them sir. You're splitting hairs. What happened? Hi, Kaz. Oh no. Petra Simonis just lost his mum. Mate, I'm so sorry to hear about that. Can you please put her name up here? And I'm a spiritual guy, religious guy. I will say a prayer for her later on, mate. I hope you've got plenty of memories of her, and let's hope that she had a fantastic life, mate. You know, I've still got my mum. She's 83 years old, and you never know when you're going to get that phone call, mate. I'm really sorry for your loss there, sir. Mr. Buckaroony, 9 by regular infantry battalions, 4 by rifle company support and admin. That should be the minimum we have. Yeah. Look, we said it the other day. Australia has got a very good offensive capability for operations. You know, that can be then led into formations that then recruit and get us a operational tempo that can sustain itself. Not yet. But we don't have really a defence force. Our defence actually comes from our friendships. And this is the scary thing with Mr. Albanese. He'd better not get on the wrong side of the USA, because I'm sure that the USA will come when the British won't. You know, I would never want to test that friendship with Britain, because I can't guarantee we'd get any support at all for that matter. So that's where our defence comes from, is our US brothers. Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. We are Cliffs, we are doing well. Unfortunately, Petrus is not doing well above us, neither is Geordie, you know, who got some bad news today about his military enlistment, which looks like it's hit a hurdle for now. We've also got a young fella in the hospital in Holsworthy, you know, 17-year-old, and he's done his back multiple times, and we don't know what's going to happen. I'm waiting to hear from him. We've got one fella who I believe is Stagey up the top there that gave the menstrual donation, and he's been shifted from infantry over to Signal Corps, and apparently he's loving it. Yeah, let's get some prayer emojis there for Petrus. You know, we're all going to face that one day, and the one thing, no matter how good or bad a man is, we still love our mums. Any tips on navigating headquarters 1 Brigade Robertson Barracks? Honestly, they're legals. That would be better for us to have a conversation, you know, on the bat phone from the Black Legion, so that we can speak and have a good conversation offline, so we can talk about different things. But, mate, basically you'll be dealing with a lot of people's wills, which is another great thing that you get for free in the military as well. Plus just documents. You know, to me, I reckon it's going to be fucking boring. But, hey, that's what you get. Hey, Kaz, I love your video, says Babby. And I think I've joined SASR. Which RR do you think would be the most suited for this role? Ooh. I don't think you can go wrong with the 1st, 2nd or 3rd Battalion, to tell you the truth, mate. They're all based out of Townsville, which means you've got a pretty good chance of getting one of them. They've all got different roles. Air mobile for 1 RAR. We've got maritime operations and reconnaissance with 2 RAR, 2nd Battalion, Royal Australian Regiment, 2nd and none. And then we've got 3 RAR that is mechanised infantry. You know, I don't reckon you can go wrong there, mate, and you'll make a lot of friends, and who you know makes a big difference. Yep. I'd wait until you get in the battalion for a year at least before you start making decisions about special air service. Learn how to be a soldier, learn how to talk like a soldier, learn how to carry yourself, learn what your limits are, compete against others, and then if other people say, yeah, man, I support you, should have a go at that, apples. Petronella, I was with her at the end of her life. That's a beautiful way to say goodbye, my friend. I hope that you've got plenty of good memories, mate. You know, and again, it's something I'm really not looking forward to myself. Mr. Buckaroony says, go the chook, SIGs all the way. Wash your mouth out, Buckaroony. You know, like I was saying at the top stage, he's gone from infantry over to signals, and he seems to love it. Crap, that's no good. Backs are the worst. Yeah, you just never know whether it's a a temporary thing or whether it's going to be long-term, that's scary when a young man hurts their back, and the instructors, it scares them too. Let me tell you something as well before we go into the rest of the 10 points. Bucko and Simon Powell will also be able to explain this. You will get injured in your military career, more so if you're in a combat corps, but you will get injured. Probably more so if you're in engineers, to tell you the truth. You will get injured. You just don't want it to happen during training. If it happens in the normal year, that's fine. Free medical, hospital, no lines, everything sorted, like a Zyrtec. We've got Vince there. Kaz, I got rejected due to my medical interview due to a traffic offence, but hopefully back in a year or two. I don't understand. I really do not understand recruiting at all, mate. I don't. If you can let someone in that's transgender, but you're pushing people down for bad behaviours when you're going to the military so you can learn good behaviours, that doesn't make sense. If someone's got an alcohol problem and then they get told you shouldn't be able to go overseas because of your alcohol-related incident, what better place to send someone overseas so they can be on the dry? Blair says, hi, Kaz, I'd love to know your thoughts on MPs. I chose the role due to the dog specialist role. I know they get a lot of hate. Yeah, no one likes MPs, mate. And I think it's, don't know, I wouldn't necessarily say it's well earned, but I think it's across all forces. No one ever likes MPs. There's a lot of roles they have there. Don't think of yourself as a cop. Think of yourself as a regimental enforcer of the brigade commander's orders, and assist them as guides, close protection, dog handler, etc., and you might be okay. If people go on there with the attitude that they're a cop, not so much. Expert Ninja says, got not back a few days ago, told to come back in 2 years, try again. Guys, if you think that you're being hard done by, make sure you do an appeal. Make sure you do. The next point. This is something we don't cover very often. Right. You go invisible. The second point. When you join the military, Phil, right, and Nick tomorrow, their life becomes invisible. When you are serving in the army, you become invisible to the civilian world. What do I mean by that? Clarification, let's go. So what happens is you normally move away. If you're from Newcastle, you get in a plane or a bus, you go to Kapooka, go to Singleton. If you go to infantry, you end up in Brisbane, Townsville or Northern Territory, away from everyone you grew up with. You're not going to be attending most family events. You're never going to be attending friends' events. As a matter of fact, you're considered to be a person of suspicion if you start going and hanging out with your civilian friends that you were with before you joined the army. You're going to be coming back to a drug test, normally. So you'll be invisible, and the longer you stay in, you're not likely to ever be back in their lives again. So when you join the military, when you go to training, you miss out on everything that's happened while you're away. It's like being in Big Brother then coming out. When you go on operations, there's 6 months, 8 months, 1 year of your life, you come back, you can't get back again. You've had a different life, but you're completely invisible to all the events that have occurred while you're gone, right? All of them. You can't just turn up to your sister's wedding. You can't just turn up to your nephew's christening. You can't turn up to grand finals. You can't even have your own wedding unless it's approved. Right? So you go invisible. Klitz from 17 says, Vince. JK, J Khan. That's a good name, the Khan. Expert Ninja, mate, got knocked back for doing 130 in a 90 zone. Was that a loss of license, but? Loss of license, yeah? So it won't be about the speed, it'll be the fact that you've lost your license. Sorry, team. Little old for that, just turned 25. I'm not sure what that one was about.
Lightfoot says, from my experience in Civvy Street, I want to be invisible. I get that too, mate. How you going, Lloydie? Blair says, I have a pretty extensive traffic report. Pretty bad, to be honest. I didn't have an issue with it at all. Yeah. Well, you've got to change that, mate, because one day you could make someone else a victim. And for the people that watch a lot of Crime Channel, it's absolutely terrifying and horrible when you see families get destroyed because of someone's lead foot. Vincey says, Ninja, that's my situation right now. Got done 139 and 40 due to being learner's license. Well, that was silly, Vince, but it's not fair. Like I just want to get in and start a solid career. Well, you fucked that up, mate. Sadly. Hopefully, that's just 1 year, Vince, where you need to maintain that license and come back. It's not about what you did; it's about behaviour, right? Because you're going to be about to be around weapon systems where there's no forgiveness for errors. You know, and if someone doesn't have the discipline, you know, you had a chance to be a driver, to be on the, and I'm not trying to preach to you, mate, but get on the track, you know, or go somewhere out bush somewhere and get in the car and give it a hard go for, or get a trail bike, but not on roads where families are in cars. Samuel, that was my mistake when I got out. Old mates, all my money gone, homeless and in the ward. It happened, mate. People go downhill quickly there, Sammy. They really do. You know, blokes in their mid-40s doing apprenticeships. Wow. Yeah, if you joined and do an apprenticeship in the military, it's fucking fantastic. There's none of this first year, second, third year treatment from a tradie. You're straight away on good money, you know, in uniform, with mates, everything paid for, you know, with solid instruction. Hey, one of my favourite people in the world, Matty Bengtson. Kaz, my son got in after a low-range DUI. Yep, and Matty, that is rare. You know, quite often it's rare because one of the worst things that can happen is alcohol-related incidents in the Army now. Blair, lost my license twice, learnt my lesson, hadn't had a final or loss of demerit in 4 years. There you go, Blair. Blair Witch Project, well done. You know, and the Army should be looking at that and taking that seriously. You know, 4 years is long enough, you know, that you can tell someone has learned from their lesson. Okay, number 3, yearly routine. This is what changes your life from being a civilian to being military. You will understand exactly basically where you're going to be at any given time of the year because there's a structure. At the start of the year, you come back, compulsory lessons, self-harm awareness, substance abuse awareness, SA awareness, OH&S awareness, standard operating procedures for the unit, everything that needs to be done for AIRN, individual readiness, Army individual readiness. And then from there, you go into individual skill sets, right? And then you'll do a hit out and do section work, then up to platoon and work your way up through the Army training continuum. And you'll know that you've got holidays in Easter. You know you've got holidays in September. These are geared around kids having their school holidays so you can have that time with them, you know. So it's you'll be able to plan out your year and your training and get yourself to a level of fitness where after that, it's not about getting elite fitness. It's about coasting and not having injuries while you prepare for the next hit out, whether that be an exchange with another country, whether that be operations or whether that be a field deployment or course, etc. Right, so your yearly routine is predictable and that'll assist you with things like marriages as well, planning holidays, etc. Yep, or trying out for special forces. Yep. The next one, number 4, career can be timeline mapped. This is a fantastic one. So you could get someone like Simon Powell or Mr. Buckaroony to sit down with you right now and just say you're 22 years old because Army reservists join older, regular Army joins younger. And what you can do is you could say at the 20-year mark, Mr. Buckaroony could sit with you and go, okay, for your first 4 years, you're probably going to have a junior leadership training course under your belt.
You know, you're also going to have a support company qualification, whether that be mortars, you know, and I'm talking about infantry here. Mortars with DFSW, whether it be snipers, reconnaissance or surveillance, whether it be signals, you know, pioneers if you've got it there in mortars. All of those things could be qualifications that you could have. Crew commanders, you know, if you're in a mechanised unit and they're deciding to take you through mounted tactic courses for sub 2, etc. You could be doing drivers courses. So for the first 4 years, you know, at the end of that, you're looking at being in another rifle company. That's an internal posting. You're looking at being a section commander between 12 months and 18 months after being a one striper, unless you're Airforce and you get one stripe for free. So once you've got that, you know that you're going to be a section commander in the battalion, in a rifle company. You're going to have your own 7 guys, used to be 8 guys. And what will happen there is that will determine you in a pecking order. But you know, as soon as you get that section commander, the 2 stripes, and you become the tactics and the father of an infantry section, right, that somewhere within the next 2 to 3 years, Schema, which is your careers advising group, is going to want you to tell them whether you're willing to go for an Army Reserve posting as cadre, which I don't recommend unless it's for some reason for your family, you're a bit older, kid with special needs, whatever. You know, Kapooka as an instructor, you know, which is only teaching people how to march, you know, the basics. Or you want to be an advanced instructor, skilled instructor, and go to the School of Infantry, School of Engineers, School of Armour, School of Artillery. So you're going to go back and be a skilled instructor above the line, teaching that and giving back to your own corps. You know that when you come back from there, you should try and come back to the same battalion, the same unit. You know, that way you've gone away, you've picked up skills, osmosis with other commanders, special forces, and you've learnt all the good to know things from other operational experience. Bring it back to your battalion. And what happens when you come back as a section commander, you've probably done between 8 and 10 years. You know, then you're going to be, might be coming back as a sergeant, especially promotion is way too early, I believe, these days. And when you come back as a sergeant, you're going to be given a platoon commander and you go from there. Again, another few years after that, you're going to be doing your sub 1, sub 2 for warrant officer, right? And then you're going to go back and do your instructional time again, and then come back to a battalion again, hopefully, right? And it just continues on like that. So you can map out your next 20, 30 years, no problem at all. I never had a plan. You should have a plan. Kaz, my son got in after a low-range DUI. Matty, he had to do his 3-month suspension before. He's very lucky, to tell you the truth, Matty. Yeah, because normally that's a comeback in 1 year. Brady says 2A Land Rovers don't go fast enough to get you in trouble. That's true. And how's their steering, Brady? You can do that, you know, in the steering wheel in a Rover and still be going a dead straight line. Mr. Buckaroony, like myself, instructed a JLTC in Townsville. He did it in 1991. He's showing his age as a sergeant. That was the year I joined. There you go. Servant of the nation. Righto. So with a career can be time mapped. You decide the speed. What I will say to you is if you accept promotions, then what's going to happen is they're going to put you on that line of advancement. You may not want that. You know, you might want to stay in, not get paid as much, but always be on the tools, away from the paperwork. You know, we had an excellent guy called Cookie who ended up going from sergeant back to digger, I believe it was, to become a sniper. Or he might have gone back to section commander, passed. It's one of the hardest courses in the Army, and he excelled. You know, loved his life. You know, we know other guys that were in for 30 years and stayed as diggers and lance jacks, and that was by choice as well. Right. Another thing that changes, mateship is a constant, up and down. The longer you've been in, the mateship that you will have with officers
with senior NCOs, with senior soldiers above you, with corporals, with lance jacks, with privates below you. There's never, and unless there's something about your character, there's never going to be a time where you don't have the mates, the brotherhood around you. A typical day in the battalion, 7:30 in the morning, after you've had your platoon sergeant call the roll, then you're going to be going and doing PT, compulsory PT, making sure you don't get fucking fat. You know, from there you're going to come back, you're going to be with the boys, going to have a cup of coffee or with someone else's wife. Yeah. Anyway, you're going to be chilling out together, and then work can be throwing grenades. Work might be doing TITs on weapon systems. It might be doing paperwork today for leave. You know, it might be doing ARN, paperwork, dental, all of that sort of shit. You know, going to lunch with the boys again. You know, the biggest problem you've got is you don't have enough room in your car to fit all your buddies in. We're going down the shops. Let's go. All of a sudden, you've got 7 or 8 guys all chilling out together. At night time, what are we going to do? We're going to train. We're going to go to Castle Hill. We're going to run up that. We're going to come down. We're going to go to the Cowboys game. And then we're going to go to Cactus Jack's, have some cocktails. That's what they call me when I walk backwards. And then we're going to go into town and go to a wine bar. And then what we're going to do is fight over the back seat while someone gets stuck in the front seat and pays for the taxi on the way home. And then tomorrow we're going to laugh about it and poke fingers at the people that didn't come out and hang out like what a mate should. Just don't do it 4 days a week like I used to. Don't do that. What are your thoughts on the Navy, Kaz? Navy, their Prod Warwick would have been my second choice. I love the ocean. I've got a calling for the ocean. I love going on cruises, but with no pineapples. I absolutely love the idea of the Navy. Not the Iranian Navy, but if I was going to go in the Navy, I'd just say make sure you get in a fighting ship. Hot kettle. That's right, Noah. You know, we know what we're talking about there. We're going to send you there, my friend. So mateship is always there. That is lacking. Tell me this. In civilian roles, is there any mateship at all? You know, most people, when they're finished a hard day's work, they just go home, or they go and then go to the gym. Well, guess what? You've done all that in work hours. It's already out the way. Now you're chilling out together because you live with your friends, right? Now, every one of your mates knows girls that you don't know, so you're all chilling out together, looking after each other, scratching each other's back, so to speak. The girl you ask out, she says no. Okay, what about Hollywood there? Would you date him? Yeah, I'd do that. Shit. You got to look out for your buddies. So when it comes to Christmas time, when it comes to September, when it comes to Easter, quite often you go, I'm not going to pay the money and go home. I'm going to chill out with my mates. Or at Christmas time, I'm going to go home and give 4 weeks to mum and dad and Danny. Saw the marching out parade at Puckapunyal, and then I'm going to go up to Byron Bay and hang out with the lads in a car convoy before we travel back to Townsville or whatever it may be. The mateship, you're not going to see it anywhere else. Anywhere else, guarantee it. Okay, the privilege of taking everything for granted. Everything is included. What do I mean by that? Hey, Dougie. Hey, Kaz, great to catch you streaming. Overdue for a chat, my friend. Hope all is well. I'm not trying to sound gay, but, mate, I was thinking about you today when I was laying in bed, Dougie. It's been way too long since we've spoken. Danger zone. You must be loving watching all the action that's happening over the Persian Gulf, mate. It really is a time for Navy and Air Force at the moment, isn't it? Anything but the chair force. It's okay if you're going to be a pilot. I'm allergic to sharks. No, Buckaroo, don't be a pussy. I'm allergic to shark bites. That's what I'm allergic to. Saw a video today, Bucko, where a guy got killed over in South Africa. He made his own cage from like Bunnings material and then took his mates out, jumped in there. The first shark, it was only 12 or 13 foot great white, smashed his cage. He came out, it chewed him, and gave him back broken, dead. Prod says might be off in 2 to 3 months. Very excited, but nervous for the change. Taking some time to get started. Yep. Dave says yes. There's
mateship in civvy jobs, but nothing like the Army. Trust levels and the levels of having someone's back is just different. And the reason why it is so different, and Dave knows this, is, and I'll go back to it, there is no mateship in civilian life. None compared to military, because we don't separate at the end of the day. We still stay together. And what happens is, let's just get, say we've got one good bloke and one fuckwit, or two fuckwits. You know, each day when they're out in a training environment and they still have to simulate that there's enemy out there, and we do machine gun pits by night for security, there's always going to be two people that are sitting on the machine gun, not on it, beside it, you know, sitting up so that they can stay awake for anywhere up to 4 hours. Now, when you're sitting beside someone for up to 4 hours, if you've got differences, you don't bring up your differences. You don't sit there and go, I don't like you. Yeah, I don't like you either. It's not like Married at First Sight. The two guys eventually come to an agreement on what do they have in common. And then what happens is mutual respects are created. There's none of this female shit that happens in civilian life where I don't get along with Stephen or Sarah or Sally, you know, so I want to work in a different department. If you say in the army, we're going to go, don't give a fuck. As a matter of fact, you are going to be working with them now. We're going to push those Teutonic plates together, and you two are going to sort it out. You know, what it used to happen when I was a digger, they used to make you fight. If you didn't get along with someone, if Brady and I didn't get along, good. Give them the boxing gloves each, and everyone else sitting around getting heartburn, eating dim sims, and Brady and I will be throwing punches at each other at breakfast time, fighting, hoping you don't hit your head on a coffee table or the fridge. You know, they'd make you fight. You'd get taken to the squash courts. If you started a fight against your own mates in the battalion in the 90s, you were actually put into a boxing night, and then you had to fight in front of 1,000 people. Incredible. Mr. Bucko said, I heard on the news yesterday the ADF recruiting is right up high. It is. I just hope that it's not DEI hiring. There you go. I know nothing about the Australian Navy. I was only ever on transport ships for infantry. I loved being on the American warships. Loved it. Toilet brush. Hey, Kaz, missed a lot of your streams due to work, but a lot has happened fast. Got my enlistment date. Going in as a SIG, toilet brush out. Mate, let us know when you're going in as a SIG, mate. Now, I'm looking forward to hearing your date. And I don't mean where the toilet brush goes. That's great news, mate. Well done. And subs. I don't know if I could do the submarine. Test it before you wet it. Babby says, Kaz, what are your thoughts of becoming a soldier considering the state of the world right now? Absolutely. You know, there's no boots on the ground. You know, I don't join the army because, you know, I want it to be peace my entire life. Lieutenant Dan, man, if I go, I go. You know? The world has only lost less than 10 soldiers, but they've obliterated the custodian of terrorism. You know, I'm willing to pay more for my fuel for a little while if it means we've got rid of the an evil regime, you know, with more than 4 terrorist groups that have been absolutely brutal on their own people as well in the religion of peace. 27th of April, there you go, 2 days after Anzac Day. That's 3 days after Kapooka Day and also Cabello Day. Life's going to change, man. I've been trying to do in Civvy for 20 years, but nobody wants to argue until we can come to an agreement. It's all ego. Yeah. Harrison Phillips, there you go, mate. Enlistments for infantry are completely full until the new financial year. Not sure, mate. I might do another phone call tomorrow because I believe the platoons are, Gallipoli platoon might be almost empty again. No way, mate. You'll be so busy with your full-time role, you won't have time for anything else, let alone a reserve role. What's that one? I'm not sure what that was about. CRL, mate, I have a juvenile record. Does that stop me from being eligible? It depends what it's for there, CRL. I believe that there should be a system within the military where we actually help people and give them a second chance. I totally believe that. And as a former commander, I would have been quite happy to have had someone with a checkered past, because a lot of people in the military have checkered pasts after they get in. Buckaroony says, Yanks and Israelis need to keep going hard and not take the foot off. Absolutely, Buckaroony. Absolutely. C19 says, better now, sorry, better late than never. 39, I want in, doing TAFE courses, year 10 and 11, maths and science. I get it, man. I get it. Keep at it, C19. Mr. Buckaroony says, go to Signals Court and wear the Jimmy badge. It's the only hat badge with a naked man on it. Michael, Big Kaz, what's your thoughts on joining the Army Reserves as a plumber? I don't understand why you'd ever do that, Michael, and I don't think you can. I don't even know if you can, mate, for engineers. I would say go in there and do the opposite of what you do in civilian life. Yeah, I'd say go in there and do something which is more about playing with sharp-ended toys. I would say my number one pick for Army Reserve would be to go into Armoured Corps if you can. The reason is they've just got the Hawkeyes, fantastic vehicle. They've got some teething problems. They'll sort that all out. Infantry, all comes down to the days to get outfield, the leadership they have, etc. And it can be very, very tedious in between hit-outs because there's certain ranges that need to be used for you to get excited. So I would say go to Armoured Corps for the best mateship, immersion and fun, to tell you the truth. And I know people in reserves in infantry as well as Armoured Corps. Dirty Dozen is proof of the concept. There we go. Sia says, I currently have an application of careers coaching interview. Okay. No, look, the best thing you can do, honestly, and I'm not trying to be arrogant here, team, but if you want coaching calls, almost the best thing you can do is come to In the Trenches with Kaz, go on to Patreon, go to the Black Legion and have conversations with me. Honestly, I've been doing this for more than 10 years now, helping people out, so I learn from candidates as well as my own knowledge that comes together and assists you in a non-quarantined version of what you could and should expect. I want to do plumber and electrician, but joining in Armoured Corps, hopefully cavalry. That's awesome. That's what I recommend. I disagree. Go infantry and reserves, be useful. And I understand that Dave may be coming from a place of, bias there. I'm infantry through and through. But if I was going to be Army Reserve now, I'd go to Cav. Yes, it'd be 7 or 18 months. All right. There's the link for Patreon. Guys, if you can afford a coffee a month, jump on there and let's have a chat. Right? Privilege of taking everything for granted. What do I mean by that? Your fitness. You're not going to the gym before work. You don't have to go after work. You go during work. Medical. Knowing when you get hurt, if you get hurt, whether it be sports, whether it be fishing, whether it be military, whether it be sexual. Been there a few times. Everything's paid for. No lining up. Bam. Sorted out. You get out of work. You're at hospital. There's no doctor certificates to be filled out. You get restrictions. And this is all tied into what happens when you get out of the military and the support you get from DVA. What else? When you move somewhere, all of the removals are done by military. When it comes to renting, you either get a house supplied for you or you get rental assistance where you're paying half market rent. That's awesome. You're taking it for granted until you get out and you realise how expensive it is in the real world. Wherever you go, the facilities that you've got Olympic swimming pools, you've got Olympic gyms, you've got training, fitness advisors for free forever. The food, you can go in and just go, I'm going to go to the mess today, pay a couple of bucks, not even clean my plate, not even source the food, all done. Dental, if you've got teeth like a fucking crocodile, you can keep drinking Coke like it's water and they'll patch you up like Humpty Dumpty with the best Tarzan super grip. Holidays. You don't have to beg your boss on your knees for a holiday, you're entitled to it. As a matter of fact, they get angry when you don't take it. Adventure. You're doing holidays to get away from the rigours of doing adventurous shit, and you're taking your life for granted. Fantastico, as Dora the Explorer would say. There is nothing better. Dude, 24 years, and I still get tears in my eyes when I think my career's over. What else is there? People have taken everything for granted. You even get your will taken care of, right? Financial and detox resets. Let's just say you've got a missus that's not good with your money because you're dating her and you're paying for everything, despite the fact she says she's a modern woman and won't pay for shit. You know, and maybe you've made some bad financial decisions. Maybe you drink a little bit too much. Maybe you eat a little bit too much. Well, guess what? You get detox. You go outfield 2 weeks on courses, you know, outfield, and then you're not spending any money. You're not eating shit food, ration packs, you know, and you're not drinking. So then you clean yourself up and you come back and you can go, that's it. Hard reset. Let's go back. Let's not spend as much money. Let's invest some of that money I just made and bush pay on top. Now, love handles gone from that defensive exercise we just did. You know, and maybe I was hitting the piss a little bit too hard, and maybe I've got a stalker, a missus, or maybe I'm the stalker and I need to back off a little bit. It also makes you appreciate everything. Comforts, food, sleep, all of these things. Fantastic. The detox is so good. I love it. What else is there? Travel and adventure meets opportunity. Righto. So when you go outfield, you know, not only are you going into places where a human foot has never stood other than soldiers, whether it be rainforests, whether it be jungle, you know, whether it be mountains, whether it be New Zealand, whether it be England, whether it be for Duke of Gloucester Cup, who dares wins. Put your hand up for opportunities for skill at arms. You know, you could be here one day, you know, at the 2nd Battalion, and before you know it, 2nd Battalion and attachments is going over to America for Gold Eagle or something like that, doing exchange with the Marines, and now you're doing sea to shore, you know, vomiting in your helmet, you know, having all of that fun, doing American training, live firing, you know, the different adventures of working with other forces, meeting women from other countries, the chance of moving around on a passport that says recipient is travelling on government business. Do you reckon before I joined the army, I thought I'd ever become an Egyptian citizen? Did you know that? I had to become an Egyptian citizen before I worked in the Middle East. So if I end up getting arrested for something, I go to an Egyptian jail instead of Australian. Fantastic. Now, I never thought that I'd be in Jerusalem. I didn't know that I'd be in the Holy Sepulchre and not paying anything. I didn't know in Rwanda I'd be paying $20 American to go and see the silverbacks in the wild. I didn't know when I was in East Timor that I'd be living in a 400-year-old Portuguese fort and walking through valleys and seeing where the Timorese and the Australians had been dishing it up to the Japanese in World War II. Yeah. I didn't realise there's good and there's bad. I didn't realise there'd be multiple times where I'd be in the USA, New Zealand, you know, or living in Hawaii. Incredible. I didn't know I'd have malaria and be beside one of my very best friends of all time. Usually make some, when you get posted to another unit, Simon, no one else needs to be involved. Simon, don't get that anywhere, you or the pay for it some way. Do you get free sex in the army? You do, but they're normally from Airforce. Yeah. G'day, Kaz. I'm a bit too late. I'll give you a tip, team. Don't date inside the military. Don't do it. barely works out when a soldier starts dating a soldier. It's not good. So travel and adventure meets opportunity. And if you're in Darwin, for example, you can also get options to go over to Bali, Thailand, etc., instead of going to Sydney, Brisbane, or Adelaide. You know, yeah. Not to mention the opportunities to get in aircraft, Galaxies, Starlifters, Chinooks, Blackhawks, MRH-90s, Kiowas, doing training, which is national qualification for helicopter underwater escape training. There's so many different things, you know, which leads us into medical and servicing. We're sort of covered on that. So dental, every year you have to do dental. Every year you have to do medical. You're going to get inoculations. So if you were, say, for example, Buckaroony, and you'd never joined the army, you know, and he's been a servant of the nation, normally that we don't know there's something wrong with you until you have a heart attack, you know, until something drastically goes wrong. In the army, every single year you're getting a major checkup. So nothing creeps up on you. They get hold of it, you know, and they take care of it. Don't screw the crew is the saying. That's a good one, bucko. If you're posted Darwin, you get free travel once a year. Well, you used to, yeah. We used to even, do you remember we even used to get holiday pay. We'd get a Christmas bonus, but they got rid of that and included it for every other payday, which sucked. I love getting that bonus. You make it hard to pick cavalry instead of infantry, Kaz. Look, I love cavalry almost as much as I love infantry. Yeah, so your body gets servicing as well. And the last one, because we're nearly up to an hour, thank you for hanging with me, team, is legacy. Now, what other role in the Australian civilian sector do you actually get a legacy that is recognised every Anzac Day, every Remembrance Day? You know, the feeling that you get when you go to the Canberra War Memorial and you realise you're part of the mechanism. The legacy that can travel on for generations, 100 years from now, when no one in your own family remembers your name, but they do remember the great-great-grandfather served in the Australian Army, Air Force or Navy. The legacy means when you get to 55 years old and your bones are sore, you have stories that you can talk about, not just what you're going to do, but what you just did. You can be in a podcast and be able to communicate on what you've done, not what you want to do. An accountant, no one's going to listen to an accountant. You know, a mechanic, fantastic job. You know, great job. You know, but if it's not in the military, it's hard to pass on. My dad was a mechanic. People don't understand. They'll just look at it as, oh yeah, he works with cars. You know, the military brings on honour that unfortunately the police, you know, is bipolar. People either like cops or they hate cops, it seems. The army, the only people that hates the army, right, is the people we're fighting, you know, and the girls that we've snuck out of the bedroom door to get away from. You know, even if you end up in prison, if you're an ex-soldier, you know, yeah, well, you're a solid guy, good on you. You know, must be a stand-up kind of bloke. We're not here to be nerfed, and as much as people might not like to hear it, you know, we're not meant to be working in an office team. That no one is meant to be sitting working in an office. We're meant to be outdoors, experiencing life, the hardships that make you appreciate the benefits. You know, self-respect, understanding, are your tyres able to grip on as you go around a corner? How good are you? You know, you've been tested. You know, it's not just perception of what you think you might be capable of. You will actually know what your abilities are. And those mateships will be reunions that go on for the rest of your life if you do it right, regardless of the corps you go to. Yep. Full respect to Phil and Nick, who are sleeping their last night in a bed with a doona tonight. For the next 6 months, blankets, sheets. Hallway 11, hallway 13. And 2 days from now, they're going to be surrounded by everyone on the same journey as them. And everything about their life is going to be changed forever. Everything. You can't even explain it. I've tried to, but it's very hard to explain. And I am so lucky, so proud that my father is the man that I think is my hero, Bill Caswell, William James Caswell. He's a legend. And I followed him after he did 28 years, then I did 24 years, and now I do this to help you so that you can make a decision that makes your life worth living and gives you the stories and one day puts you with Matty Morris listening to your adventures on how you got from where you were to where you are now. Why do you think the way you feel? What's your value system? What is Donald Trump's best policy that you wish we had in Australia now? You're able to have communications with people. You might be prickly to modern people, but guess what? The world is failing under modern people. It needs people with the pluck to stand up for the village, to work on someone else's house before their own, to understand that there's things and people that are larger and bigger than themselves, that with mission, task and purpose, you can have fulfillment with your life no matter how uncomfortable you are, that makes everything worth the grind. Guys and gals, it's an absolute pleasure to represent you with a microphone. I wish you all very well. Thank you for your donations. Thank you for your time, and thank you for believing that Australia, girt by sea, regardless of our leadership, is worth defending, representing, and taking forward, because we need the generations to keep stepping up. We really do. Kaz, did I serve with Dane Pilcher? I believe I did. Remember, we don't know, as you know, Bucko, we don't know first names. We only ever know the last names. But I don't even know anymore who I know. Kaz, any thoughts on ADF using Palantir drone? We've got to keep up, man. It doesn't matter what my feelings are. If drones are the way, then drones are the way. And the drones will also be the deterrent for other drones. Did we see Israel just for the first time use their anti-drone laser that they say costs about $3 a shot, and shoots these things out of the sky automatically? Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. Thank you, linesman. Thank you, ball boys. Absolutely, Simon. When you said linesman, I thought you were talking about Mr. Buckaroo of Signals, the Linies. All right, guys. G'day, Tyler. G'day, Noah. Questions, everything, always. G'day, mate. Clit says, had PT before woke days, pull all the lads on basic to a room and told of them to never stick your dick in service women ever unless it's a foreign Airforce. That's good. Yeah. No to drones. I don't want to get hit by a drone. The way they're running this country is unsustainable. Absolutely. We need to halve or at least bring NDIS down to a half and tell them make it work, because, I believe at the moment, we're getting sold out, by the NDIS system that's taken all of Australia's money. Yeah. Lighty, I was watching it last night. It's very interesting. All right, team, take it easy. 2, 3, and get some thumbs up. And what's your predictions? Tomorrow's platoon that starts for Phil and for Nook from Northern Territory. Hearing the happiness in their families' lives, the happiness in their lives. Guys, I want you on that board. I want you to have a life that matters. All right, team, take it easy.